remove a little cancer. Okay. Shalom, everybody. Shalom, shalom.
Shalom. Okay. Yeah, that's better.
Okay. Shalom, shalom, everybody. Greetings. This is Diaspora Connect. Thank you for tuning in. We decided to do a live chat today with you, and this is tea time with Aman and Wanda. So thank you for all of my faithful subscribers. Thank you to all my new subscribers. Welcome to the channel. Welcome to In the Room. If you don't know, my name is Wanda, Diaspora Connect Tanzania, and this is my sister, Aman.
Aman Yisrael. Hello. Shalom to everybody. Thank you, sis, for having me on your channel. Thank y'all for watching. You can go follow my channel at Aman Yisrael, where we also do tea time as well on there. So let's just hop right into it.
Yes, today is tea time with Aman and Wanda. We usually do it on Aman's channel, Aman Yisrael, but today we decided again to do a live chat with you. All things biblical on this channel when we do our tea time. And today the topic will be, Aman.
We are going to be talking about some biblical marriages, and we're going to be looking at some examples, 3 in particular, and we are focused on the women's perspective, but you also will see, things concerning the men. But this is also something that we're focused on with concerning the women because that's what we specialize in. We don't go around telling men what they need to do. We just tend to focus on the women, but through scriptures, obviously, you will see the accounts of men and women. So we're going to hop right into it. The first biblical marriage and example that we are going to look at is Ananias and Sapphira. Okay?
If you don't know who that is, can you give them the scripture, book, verse, or whatever?
Yes, so we're going to actually jump right into scripture because we want everyone to have context, and we're going to hop right into it. So if y'all are following along, head to Acts chapter 5, and we're going to start at verse 1. Okay? So we have Acts chapter 5, verse 1. But a certain man named Ananias and with Sapphira his wife sold a possession, and kept back part of the price, his wife also being privy to it, and brought a certain part, and laid it at the apostles' feet. But Peter said, Ananias, why hath Satan filled thine heart to lie to the Holy Ghost, the set-apart Spirit, and to keep back part of the price of the land? While it remained, was it not thine own? And after it was sold, was it not thine own power? Why hast thou conceived this thing in thine heart? Thou hast not lied unto men, but unto the Most High. And Ananias, hearing these words, fell down and gave up the ghost, his spirit. And great fear came on all them that heard these things. And the young men arose, wound him up, and carried him out and buried him. We're going to go all the way down to verse 10. And it came about the space of 3 hours after, when his wife, not knowing what was done, came in. And Peter answered unto her, Tell me, whether ye sold the land for so much? And she said, Yeah, for so much. Then Peter said unto her, How is it that ye have agreed together to tempt the Spirit of the Most High? Behold, the feet of them which have buried thy husband are at the door, and shall carry thee out. Then she fell down straightway at his feet and yielded up the ghost. And the young men came in and found her dead, and carrying her forth, buried her by her husband. So, Ananias and Sapphira. Let's talk about it. So as you guys can see from that text, Ananias and Sapphira had property, and it was their possession, and they sold it for one price, but they kept what they actually had sold it for from the body, which all the body, given a little pretext, all the body had agreed to come together and give what they have and evenly distribute it amongst, the apostles and all the ones who are following Hamashiach, Christ. So when he decided, the husband decided to, which was Ananias, decided to go and say we're going to do this wicked thing by lying to the set apart spirit, with his wife following him, she ended up lying to the set apart spirit, and both of them end up dying. So, Wanda, what do you think about this story, and how can we look at this story and see how we can learn from it in modern day time?
Right. So with these examples of biblical marriages and relationships, specifically marriages, from a um, female or woman's perspective, welcome to the channel. Thank you for tuning in. I would say that this is an example of how important it is for us as women, because of course we're coming from a feminine or female perspective, that we should always make sure that we follow the law, statutes, and commandments of the biblical scriptures, and make decisions soundly and wisely based on that. So, just the fact of her obeying her husband and following him to do something wickedly. Yes, we're supposed to obey, follow, and support our husbands as they lead us, but we have to always remember that they're leading us to Christ. They're supposed to be leading us to Christ, to the Most High, and not away from Him. So in that aspect, yes, we do need to make sure that leading is led by the Spirit of the Most High, by the set apart Spirit, by the Holy Ghost, by the Holy Spirit, by the Ruach HaKodesh, that we're being led of the Spirit of the Most High, of righteousness. So if we have a spouse, we're married, we have husbands, and they are leading us to do something that is against the Most High, against the biblical scriptures, against the Ten Commandments, against the law, statutes, and commandments, we as righteous, virtuous women should, we should just not just follow aimlessly, but we should speak up, talk to our husbands, or we should bring that to the attention of our spouse. As you can see that Ananias and Sapphira, the wife followed her husband's lead. So not realizing that he had already died, but she came right behind him and continued to stand with the lie that he told. So, which caused her death. So her death possibly could have been avoided if she just told the truth. So this is an example of why it's so important for us to stand for righteousness' sake. And it doesn't matter who it is, against our mother, our children, our father, our husbands. We still should stand for righteousness, because at the end of the day, the Most High is the one we look to. We look to the Most High. We look to the Messiah, and the biblical scriptures, law, statutes, and commandments. So, yes, we are married in that covenant, but we do need to make sure that we stand for righteousness, even in that marriage.
Absolutely. Just reading that, it just shows that loyalty should be to a default when it comes down to man, because man must serve the father, right? So that's the order of things. The father first, then the son, then the man, then the woman, and then the children. And when we look at it like that, we're able to not be able to be led astray, because in this situation with Sapphira, she lost her life following her husband by lying to the set apart spirit. No one should be conspiring against the Father, and by lying to the set apart spirit, that's what you're doing. So just know that you are bound to, your covenant as a woman, and that is your husband, but you also are bound to the covenant with the Father, who is your maker. And you don't choose man over your maker, because what did the Father say? He said, I kill and make alive, and I destroy and make alive. So you have to choose the Father over man every single time. Never go against the Father for any man. Like Wanda said, husband, sister, brother, auntie, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter. Every earthly being all have to give an account to the Father when all this is said and done. So that's one example that I did want to go over, because I do understand that some women kind of feel torn in that area, and they're like, well, what do I do? Do I serve, my husband? Because I know the Father says that it's pleasing for us to be serving our husbands, but at the same time, what if he tells me to do something that's in contradiction to the Father? And that's where you always have to choose the Father regardless. And that may be uncomfortable, but like I said, that's who you answer to when all this is said and done. So, any other thoughts on that?
No, I think that's it. This conversation, you guys, is to bring us closer, first of all, to the Father as women, and we want to have more of a sisterly, motherly, daughterly community or conversation with one another, because I don't think we have them enough.
Yeah.
So we want to apply the biblical scriptures and these stories, these examples of relationships and marriages in the Bible to our everyday lives, because we actually, there's nothing new under the sun. What has happened before is happening again.
Yeah.
So we all gonna probably one or two, or many of us are gonna experience some of these situations in our marriages, to where we are going to be in a situation where we're trying to figure out what do we need to do in this situation if things go awry in our relationship, if things take a turn or whatever. These examples are good examples for us to follow in terms of applying them to our lives, making decisions. And so we just need to know the order of the marriage and relationship. And I am actually talking to myself as well. I am single right now, but eventually I will get married again. So these are things that I am talking about because I'm learning as well. So anything that we're discussing, we're learning as well. We're just kind of sharing, and feel free if you have any comments, if you want to make any input anything, let us know.
Yes.
We can look at the comments and chat, so we can chat with you. That's what this Tea Time with Aman and Wanda was set up to do, is be kind of interactive, and us just having a chat with one another as ladies, as women, as daughters of Zion, as set apart women, righteous, holy, virtuous. Proverbs 31 women is what we're aiming to be. Not perfect, but we're aiming for perfection, and we're trying our darndest to live up to what the Most High has called us all to be and do and all that. So that's kind of what this chat was created for, which was Aman's heart's desire to share, and so I decided to jump in with her. So sometimes it's going to be on my channel, sometimes on her channel, but yeah, you're welcome to give input. If you want us to talk about or discuss things,
yes,
put it in the comment section.
Yes.
And we'll go through the comments, and we'll maybe on the next tea time discuss it. But yeah, it's just basically all things sisters, daughters, women, daughters of Zion. Not here to men bash or man bash, but we want to find solutions to some of the many issues that we have noticed in our community as Hebrew Israelites, Bantu diaspora, real specifically from born and raised in America. So yeah, we're just trying to see how we could be beneficial in our nation, to educate our sisters on how we should move and love our families, our husbands, and each other. So yeah.
Absolutely. And like Wanda said, the conversation is open. Tell us your thoughts, interjections, anything. All of that is welcome. So we're actually going to move on to...
One second. Do you have any comments or anything? Anybody in there? Before you
Let's see.
just wanted to, I know I saw something.
Freddie Freeman says, hallelujah, this Diaspora Connect and Anointed Trenz Tea Time.
Welcome, Freddie. Welcome. Thank you for taking the time. It looks like we have like a few people in the room. Thank you for tuning in. Please do us a favor and like, share, and subscribe. Thumbs up. hit on the notification bell if you want to be notified whenever I do a new video. Haven't done one personally on my channel in a few weeks. Personally, from me, I had a lot going on. My son came, as you guys can see in some of my shorts, and my community tab. My son came to visit. Yeah, so I was spending a lot of time with him. And yeah, so anyway, thank you for tuning in and welcome.
Alrighty, you guys. So we're going to move to the next example, marriage example in the scriptures. We're going to be talking about Nabal and Abigail. Okay, and you can find this one in 1 Samuel chapter 25, and we're going to start at verse 1. Okay, so give me a second. I'm going to it right now. Okay. I'm actually going to start in verse 3. Sorry, verse 3. Now the name of the man was Nabal, and the name of his wife was Abigail. And she was a woman of good understanding and of beautiful countenance. But the man was churlish and evil in his doings, and he was of the house of Caleb. So churlish is like foolish. Foolish. That's another word for foolish. And David heard in the wilderness that Nabal did shear his sheep. And David sent out 10 young men, and David said unto the young men, Get you up to Carmel, and go to Nabal, and greet him in my name. And thus shall ye say to him that liveth in prosperity, Peace be both to thee, and peace be to thine house, and peace be unto all that thou hast. And now I have heard that thou hast shearers. Now thy shepherds which were with us, we hurt them not, neither was there aught missing unto them. All the while they were in Carmel. Ask thy young men, and they will show thee. Wherefore let the young men find favor in thine eyes, for we come in a good day. Give, I pray thee, whatsoever cometh to thine hand unto thy servants, and to thy son David. So I want to pause because I don't just want to read a long paragraph and no one knows what's going on. So basically, this man Nabal has a possession, and he has a sheep, and they're being sheared. And so David is talking to the men that is in Nabal's belongings or in his field, and then he's asking if they can go to their master and speak to Nabal and say peace to him, and if he would basically help him and be able to feed him. And when David's young men came, they spake to Nabal according to all those words in the name of David, and ceased. And Nabal answered David's servants and said, Who is David? Who is David, and who is the son of Jesse? There be many servants nowadays that break away from every man from his master. Shall I then take my bread and my water and my flesh that I have killed for my shearers, and give it unto men, whom I know not whence they be? So David's young men turned their way, and went again, and came and told him all these things. So these are David's servants, actually. These are David's servants that gave the report to Nabal.
Okay, 1 second. So for those who just came in, I don't know if we have any new people that just came in. This is Diaspora Connect. Thank you for tuning in. This is Wanda. This is Aman Israel. We're doing a chat with Aman and Wanda today. It's called Tea Time, and we're doing it on my channel today. It's usually on Aman's channel, Aman Israel. We're talking about today biblical marriages, 3 examples of biblical marriages. We're focusing really on the feminine or the woman, the woman's response, and what happened with that woman in that marriage, in that relationship, which would assist us personally, because all this that we're reading and we're going over, and this is for those who are not real comfortable with the Bible, are not used to really reading it like that. The views on this channel, I do subscribe to the biblical scriptures, and most of our talks are going to be based on the biblical scriptures. So we're focusing on like 3 different relationships, marriage relationships in the Bible, and then after, you know, Aman is reading and just kind of the story to you, but, you know, just kind of giving you just an idea of where we're going. So if you join, you'll know we're reading because we're looking at these 3 different marriage relationships, and how the women responded in these situations, whether they were good or bad or positive or negative. This can be applied to us personally if we are married or if we're aspiring to be married, and we get in certain situations and we're not always sure which way to go. Since we are the helper of our husband, we're the helpmeet, and the Most High, our men find us, so we are their helpers. So in that aspect, we are supposed to, respect, obey, our husbands and everything. But in certain situations, we just need to know that, the Most High comes first. The Most High, the uncreated creator, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and then the Messiah, Christ, the Yeshua, Yesiah, the Christ, the Hamashiach, the Messiah. So ultimately, we all, husbands and wives, and everyone should follow the Most High, the Messiah who follows the Most High, His Son. So we are all supposed to look to Him, to live for Him, to follow law, statutes, and commandments. So even though we're married as women, there are still certain requirements of us, even outside of the marriage, especially if it goes awry. If you're in a relationship and it starts to go south, or things start to change where maybe the spouse no longer puts the Most High first or no longer follows the Most High, we do have a responsibility as wives, as daughters of Zion, as women to, to talk with our husbands, to pray for our husbands, to speak with our husbands, and also ultimately speak with the Father and get guidance on different situations that may arise. So that's kind of what we're doing when we're reading these scriptures. In case you jumped in, we're trying to show you what happened in these different relationships and how maybe we can apply. We'll talk about how we can apply this to in our lives if we get in these specific situations, because it may not always be roses and candies and hearts. Everything may not always be perfect in our marriages, and situations could come up. So we need to know, based on the biblical scriptures, how we need to handle these situations and address these situations. So yeah, sorry, Aman, go ahead. She can finish reading. I just wanted to give you kind of a little quick tidbit on what we got going on.
No, that's okay, because these things do. It applies to us, so having these references is going to help us in the long run, because we do need to know how to respond. So I'm glad you expounded on, why we're kind of reading this and giving the sisters, a backstory of how things happen and what they could possibly do in certain situations. So I think I was on, verse 12. So David's young men turned their way and went again and came and told him all those sayings. And David said unto his men, Gird ye on every man his sword. And they girded on every man his sword, and David also girded his sword. And there went up after David about 400 men, and 200 abode by the stuff. But one of the young men told Abigail, Nabal's wife, saying, Behold, David sent messengers out of the wilderness to salute our master, and he railed on them. So he was brutal. But the men were very good unto us, and we were not hurt, neither missed we anything, as long as we were conversing with them when we were in their fields. They were a wall unto us both by night and day, and while we were with them, keeping the sheep. Now therefore know and consider what thou wilt do. For evil is determined against our master, and against all his household, for he is such a son of Belial.
So can you kind of explain that whole, as you read, can you just stop and just explain, because of the words and thee, thou, like some of people are not, maybe not versed in
knowledge
so you can summarize to give them an idea of what to say.
Yeah, so that man cannot speak to him. So basically what happened in that portion is the messengers of Nabal, his messengers went back to Abigail, because the David's messengers talked to David and told David what Nabal had said. But then the men that works for Nabal came back to the wife of Nabal, Abigail, and told her what was going to happen to Nabal. So he turned away David and his messengers and said, Who is David? He mocked him. Now, anybody who knows the background of David and, who he is, he's basically a man after the Most High's own heart. He was anointed to be king after Saul. So just giving that
Of Israel.
Of Israel after King Saul. So he was anointed. So he is a man of the Most High. So basically, Nabal in this situation is being facetious, and he's being ignorant because there is some type of battle going on between Saul and David. So for those who don't know the story of David and Saul, you can find it in 1 Samuel, and it'll go and give you the backstory on that. But we're just focusing in on this specific situation with Abigail and Nabal, and David so happens to be in it. So that's what's going on thus far. So the men of Nabal is telling Abigail, the wife of Nabal, that this is what Nabal, their master, has done and said unto David, which is a man of the Most High. Okay, and then I'm going to continue. Then Abigail, this is verse 18. Then Abigail made haste and took 200 loaves and 2 bottles of wine, and 5 sheep ready dressed, and 5 measures of parched corn, and 100 clusters of raisins, and 200 cakes of figs, and laid them on donkeys. And she said unto her servants, Go before me, behold, I come after you. But she did not tell her husband Nabal. And it was so, as she rode on the donkey, that she came down by the covert of the hill, and behold, David and his men came down against her, and she met them. Now David had said, Surely in vain have I kept all that this fellow hath in the wilderness, so that nothing was missed of all that pertained unto him. And he hath requited me evil for good. So and more also do the Most High God, which we call him Yah, unto the enemies of David, if I leave all that pertain to him by the morning light, and any that pisseth against the wall. So this is David making a threat now unto Abigail's husband, which is Nabal, because of the things that he did and said, and how he's treating David, who is a son and favorite of the Most High. So we also see that Abigail, she got a bunch of things, which is like food and things for his men, and she brought them to him. So, and she did not tell her husband this. And when Abigail saw David, she hasted and lighted off her donkey, and she fell before David on her face, and bowed herself to the ground, and fell at his feet, and said, Upon me, my master, upon me, let this iniquity be, and let thine handmaid, I pray thee, speak in thine audience, and hear the words of thy handmaid. Let not my master, I pray thee, regard this man of Belial, even Nabal. She's speaking of her husband, and she called him a man of Belial. For as his name is, so is he Nabal. And Nabal in English means fool. That's what it means. It means a fool.
So basically, basically his wife agrees that he's a fool.
Mm-hmm.
She agrees with David, King David, when David was calling him, saying this about him because of his actions and all that disrespect, and his wife is agreeing. Now she could be someone that is a woman that just obeys her husband and not stands up like was it Sapphira? Sapphira did. She obeyed her husband even though he was wicked and he told her to lie to the set of her spirit. She lied and she died. Now Abigail, on the other hand, is agreeing with David, like, yes, my husband is a fool. He's not, righteous. He's a fool. So she's agreeing with that. And, I know that's a hard situation to think about, because she's not standing behind her husband in this situation, because she's seeing that he's wicked. He's doing wickedly. So she's standing for righteousness' sake. She's standing for what is right. She's doing what is right. Even though it is her husband, she's not just going to follow him aimlessly because he's being wicked. He's being a fool. So she sees that and she's acknowledging that to David, to the king. So yeah, I just wanted to put that in so you can see the dynamic with the first one, and now this is the second relationship dynamic.
Yes, and Iba Safir said, two lovely queens. Hi, thank you.
Hi, welcome. Thank you very much.
So yes, that is what's going on in this particular story and where we are right now. I'm gonna skip down to what happens to Abigail after she does this. After she, comes to David and she humbled herself too, and she is in disagreement with her husband. She doesn't agree that that's how a man of the Most High should have been treated. So you see that there are going to be times where a man and a woman is not always going to agree on a thing, and it just takes the spiritual discernment within either parties to know, what moves to make and how to deal with situations as they come up. So I'm skipping down to verse 32 when David responds to Abigail, because right now she's pleading. She's pleading for her life because he's pissed and he's ready to destroy all of Nabal's house. And David said to Abigail, "Blessed be the Most High, mighty one of Israel, which sent thee this day to meet me. And blessed be thy advice, and blessed be thou, which hast kept me this day from coming to shed blood, and avenging myself with mine own hand. For in very deed, as the Most High of Israel liveth, which have kept me back from hurting thee, except thou hast hasted and come to meet me, surely there had not been left unto Nabal by the morning light, and any that pisseth against the wall." So David received of her hand that which she had brought of him. So she brought him goods, remember, and said unto her, "Go in peace to thine house, and see, I have hearkened to thy voice, and accepted thy person." So she's basically spared her life and her whole husband's livelihood, because David was going to take it upon himself to tear them completely up. But she did that, and to make this short and not too lengthy, what happened with Abigail is she ended up living in the Most High interceded and took out her husband. And he killed her husband. He killed Nabal because he was a fool and he dealt disgustingly with his servant, which is a man after his own heart. And in the end, Abigail was taken to be a wife of David. And I just want to talk about that right there. Okay. And basically show that this scripture in particular, there's a lot of Abigails out there, right? There's a lot of Abigails, which are women who are, beautiful. They have a beautiful countenance, and they're wise in their understanding. And some of them are paired with Nabal. And in certain situations, you do have to, as a woman, know the voice of the Most High and know the character of him, to know that certain behaviors from Nabal could cost you your life, and it may take harsh decisions to go against Nabal, because like sis said, you don't want to end up in a situation like Sapphira. Sapphira lost her life by her loyalty to her husband, even though he was in wickedness. I once heard someone say, be loyal to him in righteousness, but you are against him in wickedness. You cannot co-sign wicked behavior as women and wives of the Most High. Like, you can't do that, right? And I'm speaking to myself too. We're all put in sometimes certain positions where they're not the best, but at the same time, we're all given a choice, and we just need to make sure we're making the right ones, because it can cost us our lives. And I know that this is not a channel curated to men, but if there is any men watching, I would challenge you to make sure that you don't fall in a position like this, to be a Nabal. Because in the end, Nabal lost his life, and his wife's life was preserved, and she ended up being with David, another man. A king who the Most High saw him more fit to lead her. You don't want to end up in a situation where you become Nabal. So if there's a man watching this, any men watching this, this is something to, make sure that you're not even in a position like this, because this is not good. And for the women, this also shows you to always put your trust in the Father. And if You have been given the intuition and discernment to know that something is off and it's wicked. Do not submit or succumb to it. Right? So that story in particular is one I definitely wanted to go over because a lot of people don't know about that story of Nabal and Abigail. So what do you have to say about that story we just read?
I kind of said it earlier, but confirming that there are going to be situations which, if it's in the Bible back then, it happened then, it can happen again, to where you have a spouse, you are a wife, you have a husband, and he may start falling off. You know, we can fall off as well, but we're coming from that perspective of the sisters, the daughters, the women. So you may have a husband that falls off and starts to stray away. Then it is your job to stand for righteousness regardless, to speak, you know, respectfully, of course, but stand for righteousness, pray, seek the face of the Most High, and also don't be afraid to speak truth to your spouse, to your husband, if you see that he is going off, because you may be the one that saves his life and definitely can save your own life, but by you following aimlessly and not, you know, considering the walk that you guys are on and the direction and the path that you take, you know, you're walking for righteousness, and you may get off a little bit, and you have to stand for righteousness regardless of if you're a husband, if you're a wife. It doesn't matter. You're supposed to stand for righteousness. You're supposed to hate what the Most High hates. You're supposed to love what he loves, and that's the uncreated creator. And some people, you call him God, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. You're supposed to love what he loves and hates what he hates. So it does not matter if you're married, single, whatever, you still should stand for righteousness' sake. And so that's kind of what I would like to interject. So.
Absolutely. If you haven't had a chance yet to go look at that story of Nabal and Abigail, I know a lot of people have not read that. You can find it in 1 Samuel chapter 25, and just read the whole chapter, and it'll give you background. Because I know a lot of women say that, you know, well, I have to follow my husband, and I have to do, which is true. You do have to follow your husband and allow him to lead you. But you also too have a requirement and a responsibility to follow the Father. And if you know that your husband is not doing righteously, like I said, it's going to be the common theme of today. Do not do unrighteously. Do what you know that is righteous, because that's what you're going to be held accountable for. There's one scripture verse that says, to whom much is given, much is required. So if you know to do right and you do wrong, to him it is sin. Habari Dada, watching from Ohio, Bertha.
Habari. Zuri, Bertha, welcome from USA, Ohio. Welcome to our chat. Thank you for tuning in. Thank you for all of those who are my faithful subscribers. Thank you to my new subscribers. I want to say welcome in the room. Thumbs up. We are having a chat today. This is Sister Aman Israel, and so we're doing what we call tea time with Aman and Wanda. It is it started on Aman's channel, but sometimes we'll jump over here to my channel and we wanted to do a live on it instead of a video, so we came over here and decided to share our thoughts with you concerning these biblical marriages, which is what we all are striving for, whether we're in them now or if we, you know, desire to be wives or desire to be married. And so this is beneficial to all of us, sisters, daughters, mothers, women, that we can all benefit from this sisterly chat. So we decided to come to you today with this conversation. So Aman will continue with the last.
Yeah, we have one last example. And Shalom, Liz. She says Shalom.
Shalom, Lizzie Liz. Welcome in the room.
We have Ja and Zola. Shalom, beloved sisters. Shalom.
Shalom. Shalom, sisters. Shalom. We're trying to
Thank you for watching.
Thank you for watching. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thumbs up. If you're new to this channel, this is Diaspora Connect Tanzania, and I do travel and business consultations. I have been here living in Africa for 3 years and a couple of months. And yeah, on this channel, usually it's travel, business, all things lifestyle, and now, chatting about, what means a lot, what's most important to us, actually, because we do follow and subscribe to the biblical scriptures, and we do follow them as best as we can. And so we just wanted to get together and share with the sisters a little sisterly chat, because some people don't have people maybe like living close to them that they can some ladies sit and chat with about the scriptures and share, ideas, especially if you are married or desiring to be married. We decided it was Aman's baby, basically, Aman Israel. Please subscribe to her channel.
Yeah.
And so we decided to chat. I have more of the elder perspective. Aman is the younger perspective. So we have the two perspectives, and we just basically chat and we share our thoughts, ideas on some of this, basically all things biblical scriptures. So our foundation is based on the biblical scriptures and how we handle things, our relationships, how we live our lives, etc. So yeah, we just wanted to share with you today.
Yep, and we do this a lot. Like Sis said, we do it off camera most times, but this is just open the conversation up to the public. So if you have any thoughts and opinions, please feel free to share. Don't be scared. Any testimonies? This is a community for sisters, and we should be able to talk about all this because it's prevalent still to this day.
Yes, and if you want us to chat about something in the future, please put it in the comment section.
Yes.
And say, why don't y'all talk about this? We should talk about this. You guys should talk about this. And then we'll set up times when we do our chats. We'll incorporate those discussions in it. We're no experts by any means. We're no psychologists, sociologists, and no expert in this. We're learning and growing as you are. But we just wanted to have a discussion with the sisters. I myself personally have seen a lot of misogynistic comments in our community from men concerning women and our sisters and daughters and stuff like that. And so I feel like we should chat to see what we can do on our end to be better wives, better sisters, daughters, women, even being there for one another, supporting one another, loving one another. So yes, we do see that there is an issue. We do see this gender war situation going on, which we know is started by the enemy, by the wicked one, to keep us apart, to destroy our relationships, to destroy our godly seed that will come out of these beautiful marriages and stuff. So we want to take initiative to try to have a chat to hold ourselves accountable as women. We are women, so the men, they have their time where they get together and chat. And not that men are not welcome into the conversation, but for us as women, we want to be like the positive examples. We don't want to be that woman that some of the brothers talk about is a harlot, is this. We want to be that virtuous, prosperous woman. We want to be a helper and a blessing to our husbands. So we felt like this type of chat would be beneficial to help us to see things a little bit differently and to find a solution to this gender war, this back and forth, this blaming game. The women are like this, the men are like this. See, we don't want to have that continue. We want to find solutions, and we do understand that relationships are not the easiest thing, but at the same time, I feel like if we felt, and actually it was Aman's idea, that if we one sister or daughter at a time can work on ourselves, or we can talk and we can better our communications or better ourselves, and we could have these relationships with our brothers that are more productive, that are more successful, and then we can be that example to say, there are a lot of successful relationships in our community, and we do love one another like we're supposed to. We don't hate each other. We're not fighting with one another. We're not at each other's throats. Yeah, because we want long-lasting relationships. We want to have godly seeds or yali seeds or righteous seeds. So yeah. Get off my rant now. Okay, man.
No, that's good. That's good stuff. When you brought up the misogyny, hopefully this is also too giving sisters encouragement to know that the Father is not misogynistic, because he doesn't see it like that. He sees wrong is wrong and right is right, and he wants all of us to do right by one another. So don't feel, because I know a lot of women sometimes feel as though if they're a woman, especially within this community, because there is a problem with misogyny, it's the truth. But some women feel disadvantaged because they're a woman, that the Father is not dealing with them, and we just know that from these two counts alone, that that's not the truth, right? The Father just wants us as women to trust in him and be fully surrendered to him, right? And he's going to do the rest of the work. So I just hope that, this is also to encourage and sisters seeing, just being rooted in the Father matters the most. It's one of the duties of man, the whole duties of man, to fear the Father and keep his commandments. So we have one last example, right? And we're not going to go through the entire thing, but we're going to look at it. And this one is a little bit different than the other two. So the last example is Susanna and Jehoiakim. And this specific story is found in the Apocrypha. Now, I know some people don't subscribe to the Apocrypha, which is perfectly fine. But if you do have a KJV AAE, which is a Apocrypha American edition, then you will be able to find this text. And anyone who has a Bible app should have this. But I'm just going to pull it up, and then we can go through it piece by piece, but we're not going to go through the whole thing for time's sake. So it's one chapter, and it's number 13, and we're going to start at verse 1. There dwelt a man in Babylon called Jehoiakim, and he took a wife whose name was Susanna, the daughter of Hilkiah, a very fair woman, and one that feared the Most High. And her parents also were righteous and taught their daughter according to the law of Moses. Now Jehoiakim was a great rich man, and he had a fair garden joining unto his house. And to him resorted the Israelites, the Judites, because he was more honorable than all the others. So he had a lot of esteem, and she was also a beautiful woman and a righteous woman, because she was taught to be righteous. And the same year were appointed two of the ancients of the people to be judges, and such as the Most High spake of, that wickedness came from Babylon from ancient judges, who seemed to govern the people. These kept much at Jehoiakim's house, and all that had any suits in law coming to them. So these are judges that were in or from Babylon, but they're ruling over the people of Israel. Now when the people departed away at noon, Susanna went into her husband's garden to walk. And the two elders saw her going in every day and walking, so that their lust was inflamed towards her. And they perverted their own mind and turned away their eyes, that they might not look unto heaven, nor remember just judgment. And albeit they both were wounded with her love, yet durst not one show another his grief. So they're lusting after this woman. They're seeing her walk in her husband's garden, and she's probably not clothed, because she does take baths. They took baths outside.
I mean, you guys remember David and Bathsheba, right? Okay.
Yeah.
They bathed outside. So, yeah.
So
what they used to.
Yeah.
Some people still do.
And it was natural back then, so, it wasn't on no freaky stuff. It was naturally how they did things back then. So they saw this woman in her garden and just minding her own business and probably bathing, and they started to lust upon her. And these are two elders now at the time. And they were ashamed to declare their lust that they desired to have to do with her. Yet they watched diligently from day to day to see her. And the one said to the other, Let us now go home, for it is dinner time. So when they were going out, they parted the one from the other, and turning back again, they came to the same place. And after that, they had one another cause. They acknowledged their lust. Then appointed they a time both together, that they might find her alone. So these elders are about to plan to do something wicked, right? And to make it very short, these elders are about to plan to approach this woman. So this is a woman who's minding her business. She has a husband. Her husband is away, but she's, in the garden naked and minding her business. But these two elder men are lusting after her, and they're about to make an attempt to approach her. So they are going to approach her. To make this short, they are going to approach her, and they are going to bring a preposition to this woman, right? This married woman at that. And so they approach her, and they basically ask her to sleep with them, both of them. They both ask this woman to sleep with them and to fulfill their lust, right? And so I'm going to just tell you Susanna's response. And Susanna said, I am straitened on every side, for if I do this thing, it is death unto me. And if I do it not, I escape not your hands. Because remember, these are elders, and they have high status in the community, and she is a woman, right? So there is their word against hers. And she says, with a loud voice she cried, and the two elders cried out against her, and they ran and they escaped. Okay, so after that, the judges started bringing an account against her, and they created a false narrative that this woman, who is the wife of another man, has been unfaithful to him, and that he was sleeping, or that she was sleeping with a younger man. So I'm just basically giving you guys just this, what do they call it, like a synopsis or a summary. Yeah, just so it won't be so lengthy. But basically, they lie on this woman and say that she was unfaithful to her husband, that she slept with the young man because that she wouldn't sleep with them, right? So they're still going to bring an account against her because they're wicked, and they want to see her basically pay for denying them. So
this is an example. One second, I'm for you. This is an example of what can happen in situations sometimes. So just because a person is, a man, for example, is righteous or in the church or in the truth or following the reading scriptures and all that, does not mean that he can't get off, that he can't fall off, elder, younger, it doesn't matter what age. So you, as that righteous woman, need to, be aware of situations that can arise, not to live your life oblivious, and then situations arise and you try to figure out how is this happening? Any situation can arise, but you and you can also be tested in different situations that we have an enemy. So these stories, and this one in particular, mine's gonna finish telling you what eventually happened. But I'm trying to interject so it won't be just all reading, and I know a lot of people get bored with that. So I'm trying to interject in between just to chat to see how, with these stories, how we can consider anything that could arise in our nation, in our community, and how to best handle it and remain reproachless or faultless as that righteous, virtuous woman that you are, and still handle it and handle it correctly and get the justice that you deserve. That vindication that the Most High will do for you if you stand for righteousness' sake. So yeah,
absolutely. And just trying to wrap the story up a little bit. So basically, the elders have blown this thing out of proportion by lying against this woman, and then they brought this in front of all of Israel. So these are elders, and I want people to look at this to today's time when it comes down to titles, because I think we all kind of get sometimes caught up in the titles and positions of people that we kind of lose sight of their actions, and we should hold people to the standard of their title, and their actions should match the titles that they represent, because this is who they say that they are. So if you're an elder, you shouldn't be exhibiting behavior like this, because it's wickedness. And I know a lot of people experience it in the church as well, where they say, the pastor was trying to chop it up with auntie and trying to get it in where he fit in, and he got a whole wife. Like, these are things that happens that we should know that it's not okay. And simply because they're having a title that we say, no, don't you question pastor, don't you go against that elder, you know what I'm saying? Like, these things still exist in our community, and they have to stop, because that's just not how the Most High sees things. Like we've been saying for this entire, theme of today's talk. Wickedness is wickedness. The Most High sees wickedness as wickedness. It doesn't matter the title, the gender, you know what I'm saying? These are things that we need to pay attention to. If it's wicked, it's wicked, right? So, long story short, the judges bring this to the council, and now Susanna is accused of doing something she did not do. And this is all for the fall of Susanna. But Susanna, like Abigail, trusts in the Father. She trusts in the Most High, and she was also taught from her youth to do that, right? So let's just read just a little bit more about what happened to Susanna. So, and the Most High heard her voice, right? So she cries out to the Most High, because now she's in a situation where she's about to be killed. If a woman was accused back then of sleeping with another man and she's married, that accounts for death, because it's considered adultery. So that's another thing to keep in mind. Women were killed for cheating on their spouses back then. And the Most High heard her voice. Therefore, when she was led to be put to death, the Most High raised up the set-apart spirit of a young youth whose name was Daniel, which people probably know Daniel. He is mentioned in the scripture, and he actually has his own book, who cried with a loud voice, I am clear from the blood of this woman. Then all the people turned toward him and said, what mean these words that thou hast spoken? And hear what he says. I love this. So he, standing in the midst of them, said, Are you such fools, you sons of Israel, that without examination or knowledge of the truth, you have condemned the daughter of Israel? Return again to the place of judgment, for they have borne false witness against her. So in that, you see that when she cried out to the Father and that she trusted the Father, the Most High raised up a witness and someone who was going to speak truth and to examine the matter fully and righteously and judge righteously. So long story short, the end of this, because Daniel spoke out and the Most High raised him up to do that, it ended up saving her life, because they found the elders in a lie. And he was able to, go through that and end up convicting the elders. And it was the elders that died and were shamed, but Susanna was saved and she was praised. And her family felt relief, because they're like, okay, our daughter is not out here whoring, and she's actually applying the things that we taught her from the youth. So long story short, Susanna was saved because of her righteousness. So women, when you find yourself in situations where you're peer pressured to do something that you know is wicked, right? And especially if on the account of adultery, don't give in to those things, because the Most High is going to fight for you if you remain righteous. If you remain blameless, you will never lose like that. You will never lose. The scripture says that the Most High is just to those who wait on him. He is just, and vengeance is his. Right? So this story in itself, and I love what Daniel said, because he's saying that, you sons of Israel have not looked at this matter righteously. You have not looked at this matter righteously, and you are accusing a daughter of Zion, a daughter of Israel. Right? And that's how the Father sees his daughters. I want all of you to know that. The Father sees his daughters as, his daughters, and we're not just, low beings, you know what I'm saying? That's not how it is. So these stories, I really do pray and ask you guys go look at that and examine them, and hopefully they can encourage you, and you can see certain situations to know how to maybe apply them to your life, or see where, self-examine and see if there's certain situations that you've been in, and that how could this minister to your spirit, and how can this help you in real life. So what do you say?
Yeah. Do you have any comments? And then
I think someone did.
So yeah, this conversation.
Nancy Hernandez says, hello, soy too fun. I'm your fan.
Hi, Nancy.
Hello,
Hernandez.
Nancy.
Hello, welcome. Thank you for all those who are my subscribers. Thank you to my faithful subscribers, my new subscribers. Welcome to the channel. Welcome in the room. We're just having a chat about marriages, relationships, and specifically marriages, biblical marriages. So welcome, welcome, welcome. Please like, share, and subscribe. Thumbs up. If you know anyone who's needing the information, this would encourage them as a woman, as a married woman, as a sister wanting to get married, a daughter of Zion, or the like. Please share the video. If they're interested in traveling to Tanzania, if they're interested in doing business, hit me up at diasporaconnect0@gmail.com. If they're interested in modest apparel, you have Aman Israel. You have Anointed Trenz, which is her business, and she sells modest apparels. We will make sure we put her information in the description box. I don't know if we did it last chat. I think we said we would, but I'm not sure if we did. But what's your website?
You can go to my website. It's anointedtrendz.company.site. We'll make sure we put it in this video below. We'll have all that information, and it is a brand curated for the woman of faith. If you're looking for some modest pieces, some modest apparel, we got you covered, and there will be more coming soon. We also are working on a huge project, so you guys stay tuned because we're working on something really big, and I know it will be beautiful.
Yes, so just to kind of, summarize everything, even though Aman kind of touched on it, but this conversation is to encourage our sisters and to know that sometimes I even for myself, I noticed a lot of conversations that we have, these gender wars, but I want to say be encouraged. If you are married, if you want to get married, and you still don't feel discouraged. Like, if you are married and you have issues, or if you want to get married but you hear this gender war situation going on with the brothers pointing fingers, the sisters pointing fingers, and everybody's pointing fingers, yeah, you don't have to be that one that's pointing fingers, but
right.
Stand for righteousness. That's all we want you to take away from all this, is stand for what's right. Because if you stand for righteousness and what's right, the Father, Abba, Yah, the uncreated creator, the God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, he will fight for you. He will vindicate you. He will stand for you. He loves you. You are his daughter. Never forget that. You are, he created you for a purpose and a plan as well. You're not just chopped liver. You're not just a helpmeet, just somebody. Yeah, you're a helpmeet to help your husband fulfill a call and a purpose. And a man that finds a wife finds, favor of the Most High. Now, one man who finds a wife finds a good thing and obtains favor of the Most High. So you are a gift. You are special. You are his daughter. Never forget that. And so never feel any other kind of way about yourself in your relationship or anything. Just be encouraged. Just stand for righteousness. Stand for what's right. Follow the will and the plan that he has for your life, the call that he has for your life. And so, yeah, that's what we wanted to share with you guys, to encourage you, and as we encourage ourselves as well. Y'all, this life ain't easy. Things happen. Of course, we have so much going on in these Western countries, all these flooding, and there's so much going on. So, just, be encouraged no matter where you are. If you are interested in visiting Africa or repatriating to the continent, you can hit me up at diasporaconnect0@gmail.com, diasporaconnect0@gmail.com. And I do travel and business consultations. So if you're in the West and you want to come, hit me up. Otherwise, I'm glad that we had this discussion, Aman. Thank you for sharing the scriptures with us. She's a very good storyteller. Some of these stories I have never heard before. I'm not even gonna lie. And she knows all the stories. We share, we talk, and we just felt like we wanted to share it with you guys this day. So yeah, if you want us to talk about anything else, please put it in the comment section. And don't forget to like, share, and subscribe.
Yes,
anything
please.
else, Aman?
Nope, I think that's all. We're glad we could have this conversation with you guys. Until next time.
Yeah, so we're going to go ahead and end our live. Thank you for tuning in. Let me see. I'm going to do another live soon, me personally, so I can give you kind of like an update. Because I haven't been doing lives as much as I was before, because I've been doing a lot of hair shorts, as you can see. trying to work on my hair, trying to this salt and pepper thing, trying to get it to grow, trying to see how I can, get it to be tailbone length is what we're striving for. And then as well as doing business, as well as connecting with brothers and sisters who come to Tanzania and helping them out, giving them advice and all of these things. My son was here. He did just leave, but he stayed for 2 weeks, so he enjoyed it. For all of those who know that I've been praying that he would come, and he did. So, but anyway, I'm going to end this live. We just wanted to share this chat with you, and thank you for all those faithful subscribers. Thank you for tuning in. I do have a land and building project I'm working on. I will put the information. I have a GoFundMe if you want to donate. I take donations. I have Cashapp, PayPal if you want to bless us here in Africa. I have Cashapp, PayPal, so you can bless us if you want to send us a love offering or anything wonderful. We accept donations. So thank you for your time, and thank you for taking the time to view my our chat and my channel. And yeah, so I'm going to go ahead and end the live, and thank you guys again.
Thank
Welcome,
you all.
and we'll see you again soon in the next chat or in my next live. Okay, so we're going to end it now. Shalom.